So this month on the Kendal Mountain YouTube channel, we're celebrating the sport of running, and our first video is going to feature the 2021 running session with Sabrina and Simba from Black Trail Runners, and they have a fantastic and amazing conversation about inclusivity and representation on our trails and in our mountains. So if you want to watch that video, then stay tuned and check that out. And somewhere hidden in the video, there's also a secret discount code for the 2023 running session at Kendal Mountain Festival. It's for 20%, there's only 5 of them, so stay tuned and check that out.
Running in the outdoors should be for everyone, but black runners are underrepresented in the culture of trail running. You can't be what you can't see, and we want as many people as possible to see that the outdoors is for everyone, no matter your ethnicity, gender, or ability.
If it makes one little black child think, oh, those are people that look like me, that are on a mountain, then I want to have a go at doing that. Job done.
Obviously, I'm doing this specifically for black people, and I am representing for black people regardless of what is going on around the world. There's so many things going on, so that's why I'm here and that's why I'm doing it.
As you mentioned before, you are co-founder of the Black Trail Runners, who are encouraging more black and brown runners onto the trails and onto the mountains, and they're doing a really good job. And 6 members of that running community were inspired to follow in Charlie Ramsey's footsteps this year on one of the UK's most classic rounds, named after Charlie, of course, the Ramsey Round. And you know them well, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a real pleasure to get to know. So I call myself an original community member. So I was part of those early discussions when the group formed. But yeah, and a sort of original community member. But yeah, over the last year, like I say, I've been really lucky enough to get to know these 6 individuals really well. They're doing some absolutely amazing work in trail running and across some other sports as well. There's been a bit of a crossover, and yeah, they're doing all this stuff whilst juggling even.
That's a good. I'm going to keep that. You need to copyright that. It's juggling.
Yeah, I've got my mate old Dan Lawson with his juggling the brain, but that was last year's festival. But they do all this whilst juggling 9 to 5s and family life and that. So it's incredible what these guys do. And actually, we're fortunate enough to have 2 of those core members who took part in the Ramsey Round Challenge. And I guess we should waste no more time and invite onto the stage Black Trail Runners co-founder Sabrina Pace-Humphreys and community member Simba Mugamba.
Feel like Beyonce.
Thank you very much. Absolutely awesome to have you on the stage. And I know, well, before we talk about the Ramsey Round, let's go back a bit to why you started running and what's the appeal of getting out there and just putting one foot in front of another.
I'll go first, shall I?
Yeah.
So I'm a mother of 4, and I've got 25, 23, 15 and 12-year-old. And I have always suffered with depression and anxiety since as young as I can remember. And after I had my 4th child, I went into a really dark period of postnatal depression. And I hated running. I anything. I would laugh at road runners as I went in the car past them, thinking, why would you do that to yourself? But I went to the doctor, and as well as medication, my doctor said to me, you should try and do something for yourself. Maybe try jogging. And I kind of looked like, really? But I needed to do something. I was having really, really dark thoughts. And I went out along our Canato path in a pair of basketball shoes, a baggy T-shirt, and walked for 10 minutes. And honestly, it was just an awful sight. But when I got back, I just felt this sense of a little bit of pride, which I hadn't felt and I couldn't experience at that time. And yeah, that led me here. That first run walk led me here.
And looking back on that moment, and I suppose this is a question for all of us runners, do you feel that first step into the unknown has actually made you a stronger person? Has it taught you a lot of things, or has it just made you realise, do you know what, if I can do that, it's all about the little steps to where you are today?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that massive change happens with small steps. I say it everywhere I go, something that seems really insignificant can make a massive difference to people's lives. And that woman, that doctor saying to me, Sabrina, have you ever tried jogging? And me giving her that look, me doing that and taking a chance, it totally changed my life. I mean, it in more ways than you can ever imagine, it changed things for me. And running gave me that, using my body to move forward, helped my mind to come out of a really dark place and end up here. Yeah,
absolutely. Running, I think, again, we can all relate to that. It is great for the mind as well. Simba, how about yourself? I know you're not a grandmother, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did your running journey begin?
I mean, so running used to be the punishment for other sports I used to play. So I used to be a fairly handy squash player. So I used to run as part of the training. And I stopped playing squash. I got a few injuries, mid-20s. Then around about sort of 4 or 5 years ago, I thought I'll run a marathon. So I ran a marathon. And I've got a habit of saying yes to things. So when people ask me, do you want to do this? I go, yeah, sure. And then it just kind of transpired into this. So a shorter story, but yeah, I've always ran. And I grew up in the countryside, so kind of it's one of those kind of weird things. Recently, trail running has become such a massive thing, but for me, sort of running the countryside was kind of where I'd run anyway.
So how did you two meet then?
Well, we launched Black Trail Runners in July 2020, and the first event where we represented as black people coming together at Trail was an event held by a company called Ultra X, and it was in the Peak District. Yeah. And I had heard of, we'd been communicating on the gram, and he said he was going to be there, and I was like, wow, okay, I get to meet at least one of the community members, because when MJ and Phil and Sunny and Marcus and Rachel and I set up Black Trail Runners, we were like, we're just glad to meet other black people who love trail running. If it was only ever us, that would have been enough. So when I met Simba,
you were quite excited.
I was really excited.
And I just DNF'd that race as well.
He did. He DNF'd the race. So on the first day, I was tracking him, and where's Simba gone? And you know what it's like when we dot watch. We love dot watching. And you DNF, but you stayed, he stayed for the second day when we were running, and you were there at the finish, waving Sunny and I in, and we've been firm friends. He hasn't been able to get rid of me ever since.
I haven't tried.
It's true.
You'll find out.
Sorry, yeah, but sorry, I thought you had a question then. With you both setting up Black Trail Runners and MJ and the others as well, has that, for me, and for many of us, it's made us realise, as a white person, as a white runner, that actually, when we spoke before, I was talking to you, wasn't I? And I was thinking, I don't think I can recall a time when I've run in an ultramarathon and run alongside a black runner. I've been fortunate to have raced around the world, in Africa, where I've raced with black and brown runners, in Brazil and places like that. But in the UK, I've not. And I've spoken to my other running buddies, and they've said exactly the same. And I think there's a massive thing, and I'm really glad that you've set up this community to make us aware, to educate us as well about things that we can potentially do to make this sport, which I always thought was quite inclusive, even more inclusive than what it already is, if that makes sense, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it was, the first, there's a real lack of diversity in trail running. There's the last census data, 4.5% of the people that had responded identified as black or mixed race. And in the trail community, less than 0.7% of race participants are black. Now, if that doesn't tell you there's a problem with diversity in trail running, I don't know what does. But up until we launched Black Trail Runners in July 2020, there's no data. So the first campaign that we went out with, was an open letter to race organisers saying, help us to collect the data. And how you can do that is on your race and event registrations, ask the question about ethnicity, because it wasn't being asked. How can you know what you need to do? How can we influence at high level down to grassroots if the data isn't there? So, that response initially was really good. But of course, with positive responses, you get negative responses. And responses such as, there is no problem with diversity. All you need is a pair of trainers. And that's so untrue when it comes to trail running and experiencing the outdoors for black and brown people. It's about so much more than just putting on a pair of trainers and going outdoors. And the work that we do seeks to address those barriers, access, skills, and representation. And as MJ says, we were really, it was difficult in lockdown because we couldn't see people, we couldn't meet them. And MJ's FKT kind of was really marked the start of for us as a community, really being able to get outdoors and say, we belong here too.
So if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like and subscribe, and you can watch the full 2021 running session on the Kendal Mountain Player. Right now we are running a 3-free-day trial, so make sure to check that out. And if you did find the hidden discount code in the video, then well done. And if you didn't, try and find it and go back, because it is hidden in there somewhere. So good luck, and we'll see you at Kendal 2023.